A particularly dangerous severe weather outbreak is still looking very possible in the south Friday evening into Friday night. A moderate risk of severe weather. We break down the details. So the same system that created the additional flooding, of course, in California, some high winds, but also a rare tornado in the Los Angeles area. Biggest tornado in 40 years in EF1. Pretty incredible, but I talked about that possibility on Monday with these cold core lows and that same upper level wave creating severe weather yesterday. We talked about the slight risk of severe weather. Well, we did have wind reports, a lot of flooding reports too on the central and northern end of those storms. And then today, the risk really is a particular tornado threat. High winds, hail, all those regular severe weather variables. But we're really concerned about potential for some strong tornadoes, significant tornadoes later this evening. We've got that upper level trough coming out of the Rockies, surface low in eastern Texas. Still have some showers going from the last night's activity. Here is vorticity, or where we can see that mid-level wave or trough moving through the atmosphere. This shows you where there's ascent or upward motion in the middle of the atmosphere, combined with a pretty powerful jet stream that will strengthen by the evening hours and in the favorable place for, again, upward motion that storms can take advantage of. And of course, we've got a lot of shear, which means that the winds are either changing direction or speed with height, all of which helps to create that horizontal rotation, which thunderstorms take advantage of and turn it vertical, which is important to organize storms and keep them long-lived and severe. Muggy dew points out ahead of it. We've got a cold front sweeping across the plains into Louisiana by this evening, and everything coming together really in that south central part of the country. So we've got several infrequent events that come together to make an infrequent severe weather outbreak. In blue here, top 10% of a trough or upper level wave. We've got a top 0.5% of moisture for this time of year in the south, and then a top percentage of warmth as well as moisture content. So all those things kind of coming together, which by themselves would be somewhat rare, but when you combine them together, you create a potential severe weather outbreak that is more or less infrequent. Moderate risks happen, but they're not very common. So we've got the supercell index where that instability comes together with shear. That is high across northern Louisiana into southeastern Arkansas, western Mississippi. That is the area that we're watching. That's the hatched area for moderate risk, and that's where the significant tornado parameter really comes up too. This means that in particular, cells that do develop could develop very strong updrafts, and we get into that significant tornado potential, which is an EF3 or greater risk. In fact, the significant tornado parameter is potentially going to be over 5, 70% chance when we look at the ensembles of the short range models, 70% chance that that area will be greater than a 5 significant tornado parameter. This is tracking the model's updraft helicity, or basically where do those updrafts or rotating storms develop, and you can kind of see that general area where the models forecast some of those tracks. So that's why we have that moderate risk of severe weather. Southeastern Arkansas, as I mentioned, northeastern Louisiana, western Mississippi for the evening and overnight hours. We will have some activity already going or popping early to mid-afternoon, but it's that later evening period that it's going to run into some of the worst conditions. The hatched area means 10% or greater risk of significant severe weather. So not just severe weather overall, but a significant risk of severe weather, again, particularly those strong tornadoes. So cells already popping in eastern Texas early to mid-afternoon, but then as that area moves into that particularly unstable area, that's when we're going to watch for potentially some of the worst storms that, again, could become significant tornadoes here as we head into the evening and overnight. So that's what we'll be monitoring through the day today. More active weather on the way next week, it looks like, too.